Hello everyone, and thank you for joining me for an episode of Flora, Foliage, and Facts. Now, quick disclaimer, I am recording this while reading off a tiny teleprompter because I did write down quite a bit of information that I don't necessarily trust my brain to be able to relay back to you in a proper or accurate way. But yeah, let's get started. In this series, I'd like to share with you some information about various types of plants from a slightly more taxonomic approach, and while by no means am I a botanist, I am an enthusiast who honestly just likes to get their roots wet with knowledge. That being said, let's get started with the plant that everyone knows and loves, the pothos. Whether it be golden, global green, mandula, or snow queen, chances are you can find a pothos in just about every collection you see. Or can you? Now, that's why I'm doing this series. It's not really common knowledge, but pothos is an entirely different genus of plants than what we know them to be. I will get to that later. But yeah, the reason I'm doing these videos is because I really just like to dive deep and get to know as much about plants as there is to know that's available to me. So my goal is to take the information that I learn and to be able to share that with you and to provide you with accurate scientific information about these things. So yeah, hopefully that's something you're interested in. Alright, so the idea of pothos, like I said, completely different genus of plants. The plants that I mentioned earlier are actually various cultivars which were once classified as pothos, but were later reclassified, well, they were reclassified in the 60s as Epipremnum, which I will divide here into the two most common species in cultivation. Let's start off with Epipremnum aureum. Epipremnum aureum is a species that covers some of the likes of what we know as golden pothos, the global green, jade, and one of my personal favorites, the Shangri-La, which is really cool. I'm going to stick a little image over here so you can take a look at it. The foliage is just really gnarly looking, it's just super cool. Looks pretty alien, and I don't know, I just enjoy it. But yeah, as you can see, with those other plants that I mentioned, you can see various differences in the foliage, whether it be the color, the variegation, the lack of variegation, or the general leaf shape. We can trace plants like the golden pothos back to Polynesia, but they are pretty damn invasive and at this point have been naturalized all over the Pacific and places like Florida, where they can grow massive and even develop fenestrations, and are often mistaken for the coveted variegated Monstera deliciosa. Epipremnum pinnatum, commonly known as dragontail, is native to Southeast Asia and various islands in the Pacific, whereas the blue form of the Epipremnum pinnatum, Epipremnum pinnatum Cebu blue, gets its namesake from the Cebu Islands in the Philippines, and I really hope I'm saying that right. These plants do fenestrate as well as they mature, and again are commonly mistaken for some type of monstera. One really interesting cultivar of Epipremnum pinnatum is Epipremnum pinnatum skeleton key, which is exactly how it sounds. It looks like a skeleton key. Really unique foliage. Again, stick a picture over here for you to look at for a second. Then I'll do this while I wait to talk about the next thing. Make the picture go bloop. And then we will move on to what we know as Pothos exotica, Silvery Ann, and the like. These plants are classified as Scindapsus pictus, native to places like Southeast Asia, New Guinea, Thailand, and Borneo, and they are known for their brilliant reflective silver variegation on their darker green leaves, whereas Scindapsus trubii and the popular trubii moonlight that, everyone's going crazy over, are less reflective, but a beautiful, beautiful silver blue green. They're just beautiful plants. All right, and now for the fun part, the true pothos. So, true pothos are actually very uncommon in cultivation and equally difficult to find simple, easy information on, and pretty difficult to find photos of also. They are native to places like China, India, Australia, Indonesia, and New Guinea, and they are honestly nothing like you'd imagine. They are stunning, honestly. A good amount of these plants are shinglers, which attach themselves to trees, and they climb to maturity. The foliage does change over time. I'll attach some pictures in a bit for you guys to see, because they are just sexy plants, honestly. But yeah, they climb to maturity much like many other aroids that are hemiepiphytes, and hemiepiphytes are typically climbers who attach to taller objects and grow upwards, and they are able to draw in nutrients from the air using their aerial or anchor roots. As promised, here are a few photos of the true pothos species that I've received from a few botanists and collectors that I've made connections with. So we will start off with the Pothos insignia. So take a look at that for a second. Honestly, just a really, really cool plant. Like, you don't see these anywhere, and they're just so nifty. We'll move on real quick to Pothos scandens. Let you revel in that for a second. And then we'll switch it over to Pothos longpipes. Right? They just look so cool, honestly. So this one is Pothos pugnax. And coming up here, we have Pothos becariana. And like I said, just sexy, beautiful plants, honestly. Like, wow. I don't know, like, they're just gorgeous, and they have me falling in love with Pothos all over again in a completely new way, and I really can't wait for these plants to have the recognition they deserve. That's all I've got for this episode. Well, thank you for joining, and stay fascinated, stay knowing, and stay growing. Thank you.